Uh, where did I get this one?
Yes.
I got this from my own research.
Man, you're a genius, bro. I'm impressed
No,
with you.
no, I've looked into these things a little bit, but I've leaned heavily on both your videos and your website,
So
your
can you
blog,
sing
and
this song with me? Lean on me when you're not strong.
lean on me when you're not strong.
Can you do me a favor? Can you get a day job?
Yeah, I need one, don't I?
Man, you ain't gonna make it singing.
But in Surah 221, so 221,
Yes, it
it
talks about that you can't marry an unbeliever, right? And
right.
then chapter 5, verse 5, it says you can marry people of the book.
You got it. Okay, is that a good? I mean,
Old one and is good if you know how to present it.
I would say that it refutes their criticism of the Trinity not being monotheism
Yep,
because either the writer didn't
precisely.
understand. Yeah, and then I
Let me
guess like
explain what people are telling what you're saying. In Surah Al-Baqarah, chapter 2, verse 221, Muslims are forbidden from marrying disbelievers. Muslims are forbidding from marrying the idolaters. Okay. But then in Surah Al-Ma'idah, chapter 5, verse 5, it says, lawful for the Muslims are the food of the people of the book, meaning Jews and Christians, and their women. Why then would Allah say Muslims can marry Jewish or Christian women if the Christian belief in the Trinity is disbelief and idolatrous? Because in Surah Al-Baqarah, chapter 2, verse 221, it says that they cannot marry disbelievers, only believers. That's one of the contradictions of Muhammad.
so. Naturally, I have to ask you, Sam. Have you run into anyone who's had a good response to this, or is there, you know, uh, I guess any challenges to this? And
Well, the sharp Muslim who tries to save Muhammad out of this dilemma will say, well, technically, the Christians don't think they're worshiping three gods. They've affirmed that it's one God, but they're saying that this one God eternally exists as three persons. And since they acknowledge the one true God of Muslims, but they think that this God of the Muslims, because they say that it's the same God, though he's one, in his eternal subsistence are three distinct relationships. Technically, they are not pagans, idolaters. They come under the rubric of believers and people of the book. Yeah, because that's what they got to say.
right.
So, in other words, they're trying to do their best to make sense out of the contradiction of the Quran. So the Quran is a book that is incoherent, unintelligible babble, the real miracles that people think the Quran is miraculous. So they're helping Allah and His Messenger out because Allah and His Messenger are embarrassing the Muslims by uttering such contradictory statements because the two cannot be reconciled. If you're saying that Christians are technically believers and people of the book, even though they're Trinitarians, then why does the Quran say that the Christians say Jesus is the Son of Allah, and in this they imitate the disbelievers of old, how they are deluded? Allah fight them because it says saying Jesus is God's Son is a sign of disbelief and a sign of idolatry.
Hmm.
So how are you going to reconcile that with chapter 2, verse 221? You can't. That's the point. This is what, in fact, interestingly, one of Muhammad's companions even used chapter 2, verse 221 to show that Muslims should not marry Christian women when they call Isa their Lord.
Wow.
Now, let me get you that article.
Yeah, I
Where
would.
did you hear this article, by the way?
Uh, where did I get this one?
Yes.
I got this from my own research.
Man, you're a genius, bro. I'm impressed
No,
with you.
no, I've looked into these things a little bit, but I've leaned heavily on both your videos and your website,
So
your
can you
blog,
sing
and
this song with me? Lean on me when
le-
you're not strong.
lean on me when you're not strong.
Can you do me a favor? Can you get a day job?
Yeah, I need one, don't I?
Man, you ain't gonna make it singing. Here's the article, folks. Let me show it to you right here. I'll get you the link. Now, you may need to change the URL. You may need to change the URL. Right, let me see. How do we do this, man? Okay. You guys may need to change URL because in some countries this is banned. So you may have to do answeringislam.info or answeringislam.net or use a proxy server. So I'm going to get you the phone because they have banned the answering-islam.org. And I think they banned answeringislam.org. Try .info without the dash or .net. But here, let me show you this article. Lean on me when you're not strong, and I'll be your friend. Everyone on board? So here it is. That's the article. So what is he talking about? This is what he's talking about. Lean on me, chapter 2, verse 221. And do not marry the idolatresses until they believe. And certainly believing maid is better than an idolatrous woman. Well, according to the Quran, Christians are part of the kufar. The word idolater, right, means one who worships or associates someone other than Allah with Allah. So it doesn't mean just worshiping statues. The word mushrikun, mushrikeen, shirk, mean to associate others with Allah. And in the Quran, Christians are condemned as being kufar, kafirun, kafirin. Just stay away with the caffeine. And they're called mushrikun. Here, I prove it. So then here it says, don't marry their women. Don't marry their women. You with me there?
Right.
Don't marry their women. Okay. But then in chapter 5, verse 5 says, you can marry the women of the people of the book, Jews and Christians, and eat their food. So I give you the proof that Christians are said to be idolaters, mushrikun, mushrikeen, and they are disbelievers, kafirun, kafirin, because they drink too much caffeine. All right, and here's the hadith. Ibn Omar, Sahih Bukhari, volume 7, book 63, number 209. Narrated Nafi, whenever Ibn Omar was asked about marrying a Christian lady or a Jewess, he would say, Allah has made it unlawful for the believers to marry ladies who ascribe partners and worship to Allah. So he's talking about Surah Al-Baqarah, chapter 2, verse 221. And I do not know of a greater thing as regards to ascribing partners and worship, etc., to Allah than that a lady should say that Jesus is her Lord, although he is just one of Allah's slaves. But damn, chapter 5, verse 5 says you can marry Christian women, and it doesn't qualify it. Unless you think chapter 2, verse 221 qualifies it. That means you can't marry any Christian woman, because there is no Christian who doesn't say Jesus has been raised from the dead and he's alive in heaven as Lord. How does it qualify it?
Yeah, you're stuck. You choose if you choose to go
Damn
by
if you
that.
do, damn if you don't, mister.
And I actually I've used this before. I brought this up to somebody once before, and they did quote this hadith, and I found that in just a few, no, not a few, but Surah 587 says not to forbid what Allah has made lawful for you. So by them trying to use this as a justification to forbid what's lawful, being the marriage to Christian women,
Yeah.
they're committing a sin.
What are you going to do with it? I mean, that's my point.
Yeah.
If you tell me you cannot marry Christian women because they say Jesus is Lord, but then chapter 5, verse 5 says you can marry women of the people of the book, which means Christian women, and there is no Christian woman that doesn't say Jesus is Lord. How are you going to reconcile? You can't, because the Quran is a joke. Muhammad is a joke. Muhammad is burning in hell because he wasn't from God. That's the whole point. So that right there, you're right. That's a good argument if you know how to use it.
Thank you so much for this article, Sam. Yeah, I'm going to go ahead and pull this down as well.
Study it, and when you become famous and make money, and I'm panhandling, don't forget me to send me a sandwich.
Yeah, that's not going to happen. That's not. But if you needed a sandwich, Sam, I'd give you one.